Nobody aboard the exploration vessel Vanguard slept well after crossing the Perseus Gap. The ship itself was beautiful in the cold mechanical way only human engineering could be. 3 kilometers of layered titanium hull floated through darkness like a silver cathedral. Massive fusion engines glowed blue behind it, leaving silent ghosts of light in the void. Inside, nearly 2,000 people lived and worked beneath artificial gravity, recycled air, and the comforting hum of machinery. And yet every corridor felt wrong. Commander Elias Ward noticed it first. People spoke softer, they looked over their shoulders, conversations stopped whenever lights flickered. The crew blamed exhaustion. The Perseus Gap was notorious, a region of dead stars, strange, magnetic, storms and failed expeditions. Most captains avoided it entirely, but humanity never became the dominant force of the Orion frontier by avoiding dangerous places. They crossed them. Ward stood in the observation chamber staring into endless black. No stars. That bothered him. Space was never truly dark. There were always distant suns, radiation flares, drifting debris fields, but outside the reinforced glass there was only emptiness. It looked less like space and more like something had erased reality itself. A voice crackled. Through his earpiece, "Commander, you should come to Research Deck 7. Ward turned. Dr. Mira Chen sounded nervous. That alone made his stomach tighten. Mira Chen was the least nervous human being he had ever met. "What happened?" he asked. A pause. Then, "We found a signal." Research Deck 7 sat near the center of the ship, protected by armored bulkheads and radiation shielding. When Ward entered, he found 24 scientists staring at a holographic display. Nobody spoke. The room itself smelled strange. Burned copper. Mira approached him holding a tablet. "You need to hear this." Ward crossed his arms. "Alien transmission." "We thought so." "Thought." Mira hesitated. "That's the problem." She activated the display. At first, Ward heard only static, then whispers. Dozens of them. No, hundreds. Overlapping voices speaking. In languages he didn't understand. The sound crawled into his skull. Some voices screamed, some begged. One laughed, then everything stopped. A single sentence emerged from the static. In perfect English. "Don't let it see you." Ward felt ice slide down his spine. The recording ended. Nobody in the room moved. "How old is this transmission?" he asked. Mira swallowed. "That's impossible to determine." "Meaning?" "It doesn't behave like normal data. The signal repeats in patterns that violate known communication physics." Ward frowned. "Speak human. It shouldn't exist." A younger technician looked pale. "We traced the origin point." Ward looked at him. The technician zoomed the holographic star map outward. A blinking red point appeared deep inside the gap. "No registered systems," the technician whispered. "No planets. No stars." Ward stared at the coordinates. Something about them bothered him. Then he realized why. The location was moving. Slowly. Toward them. By midnight, rumors spread across the ship. Some claimed the signal came from a lost colony. Others whispered about ghosts. One engineer swore he heard voices coming through an unplugged headset. Security Chief Nadia Reyes dismissed all of it, at least publicly. Privately, she armed every security officer aboard the Vanguard. "Just in case," she told them. The crew appreciated the gesture. Human beings always felt safer when holding weapons, even when the enemy was unknown. Especially then. At 0214 ship time, the first person disappeared. Crewman Daniel Holt failed to report for maintenance duty. His co-workers found his toolbox abandoned near Reactor Corridor C. No blood, no signs of struggle, just a trail of black fingerprints leading into a ventilation shaft too small for a human body. Reyes personally inspected the scene. The fingerprints disturbed her, not because they were black, because they were burned into the metal. As if something impossibly hot had touched the wall, one of her officers whispered nervously. "Maybe sabotage?" Reyes shook her head. "No human did this." The lights flickered. Every radio on the deck exploded with static. Then a voice emerged. "Found you. The corridor lights died. Darkness swallowed everything. People screamed. Gunfire erupted, then silence. Emergency lights returned 3 seconds later. Officer Brennan was gone. Only his helmet remained. The inside of the visor was coated in blood. Commander Ward sealed the entire deck immediately. Nobody entered. Nobody left. The Vanguard changed course away from the moving signal. It didn't matter. The signal followed, hour by hour, closer, closer, closer. Dr. Chen spent 16 straight hours studying the transmission. By the end, her hands shook uncontrollably. Ward found her alone in the lab staring at mathematical equations covering every wall. "You need sleep," he said. "No." Her voice sounded hollow. "It's learning us." Ward frowned. "What?" "The signal." She pointed toward the equations. At first, it repeated simple patterns. Now, it's adapting to our systems. Every time we analyze it, it changes. Ward felt growing unease. "You're saying the transmission is alive?" Mira looked at him. "No." That frightened him more. "Then what are you saying?" she whispered. "I think the signal is hungry." At 0433, long-range sensors detected an object. The bridge crew initially assumed it was an asteroid. Then the object accelerated. Asteroids do not accelerate. The thing moved without engines, without heat signatures, without any identifiable propulsion. It simply glided through space toward the Vanguard. Silent, massive, wrong. The sensor image resolved. Several bridge officers became physically ill. The object resembled a human skeleton. Not exactly, but enough. A colossal structure nearly 40 kilometers long drifted through darkness like the corpse of a dead god. Rib-like spires stretched outward, black stone surfaces absorbed light. The front resembled a skull with a cavernous opening where its mouth should have been. "Dear God," whispered a navigator. Ward stared at the screen. "Any life signs? No. Energy readings? None. Movement? It's still approaching." The ship-wide alarms suddenly activated. Every monitor aboard the Vanguard changed simultaneously. Static filled the screens. Then text appeared. "We remember Earth." Crew members froze. Ward's blood turned cold. "How does it know Earth?" Nobody answered. Another line appeared. "You were the last. Then run." The skeletal object vanished from sensors. Not moved. Vanished. A second later, the Vanguard shook violently. Something had attached itself to the hull. Chapter 2. Boarding. The sound echoed through the ship like thunder. Metal screamed. Lights failed across 3 decks. Artificial gravity fluctuated violently, throwing crew members against walls. Commander Ward grabbed the command rail as emergency sirens filled the bridge. "Damage report." Multiple voices answered simultaneously. "Hull breach on cargo deck 4. External sensors offline. We lost contact with engineering teams. Something's moving inside the vents." Ward turned sharply. "Repeat that." The tactical officer looked terrified. Motion trackers displayed impossible readings. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Small, fast-moving shapes raced through maintenance shafts across the ship. Too fast for humans. Too organized for animals. Reyes stormed onto the bridge carrying a pulse rifle. Her expression alone told Ward everything. It got inside. Cargo deck 4 resembled a war zone. The hull had been peeled open, not exploded, not cut. Peeled, like a tin can opened by giant fingers. Dead crew members floated in zero gravity. Some were torn apart. Others looked untouched except for expressions frozen in absolute terror. Security teams moved carefully through the darkness. Helmet lamps swept across shattered containers. Then somebody whispered, "Movement." The creature emerged upside down from the ceiling. Officer Hayes fired immediately. Pulse rounds shattered the thing's shoulder. It did not slow down. The creature dropped among them. People screamed. The thing was vaguely humanoid. Too tall. Too thin, its limbs bent backward. Its skin looked stretched over black bone. No eyes. Only a smooth face split vertically by rows of moving teeth. Hayes emptied his rifle into it. The creature grabbed him, then unfolded. That was the only word later survivors used. Unfolded. Its body opened like flower petals made from flesh. Inside were more teeth. Hundreds. Haze vanished inside the creature in seconds. Reyes fired a grenade round. The explosion tore the monster apart. Black liquid splattered the walls. The remaining security officers stared in horror. Then the pieces moved. Every severed fragment crawled independently toward them. "Fall back!" Reyes shouted, too late. The deck lights died again. In darkness came wet, tearing sounds, screaming, then chewing. Dr. Chen locked herself inside Lab 7. Outside, distant gunfire echoed through ventilation systems. She barely heard it. Her attention remained fixed on the signal. The transmission had changed again. No more static. Now it sounded like breathing. Slow, ancient, immense. She replayed the message repeatedly. "We remember Earth." Something clicked in her mind. Earth. Not humanity. Earth. As if the sender knew the planet personally, Mira opened classified historical archives. Most records concerning humanity's early interstellar expansion remained restricted even to senior researchers. But emergencies unlocked doors, and this qualified. She found references to something called the Lazarus event, files heavily censored, missing data, dead expeditions, one surviving transmission. Mira opened it. A grainy video appeared. The footage showed a military vessel drifting through deep space. Bodies floated behind the camera operator. The man recording looked exhausted and terrified. Log entry. "I don't know anymore." Static interrupted him. "We found ruins near Proxima Outpost. Thought it was alien tech." He laughed weakly. "Was